Namaste everyone. We are continuing our Kathopanishad study. To just recap what we have studied in the last three sessions is that the Upanishad, which belongs to Krishna Yajurveda, is a story told by Kataka Muni, and there are three characters, main characters in the story. And Upanishad normally uses dialogue for communicating, so that they can bring in both the doubts in the form of questions from the student and answers when the guru or the teacher explains that answer. So this form of dialogue is a typical pattern in which most of the Upanishads are written. And here also we have Vajasravaha, which is the father who is Sarvaswadhanam in the form of, for the attaining Swargaloka, he is doing a yajna called Vishwajit Yaga. In the Vishwajit Yaga, he is supposed to give all the wealth he has got in it. So the picture shown in the beginning of the Upanishad is that he is gifting away all his cows, which are apart from what has been kept for his son Nachiketas. His son's name is Nachiketa. So the cows which have been kept for Nachiketa were good in conditions, and whatever left out was all old and aged cows, which he was giving away in the form of yajna as a Sarvasadhana. So the son who has studied the Vedas under the father and the other teachers in the Gurukula feels that his father is not doing the right thing, because this way he is not following the dharma which is supposed to be followed by that. And he goes to the father, asks him, "Father, whom are you going to give me? You are supposed to give everything you have. Pashu, Putra, Hiranya, all those things. So I am also one of the things you have to gift away." So the father first 2-3 times, pushes back the child while sitting in the Yajmana seat for the yaga. But Nachiketa, wanting to stop his father doing from a, adharma work, he goes the third time and asks the father, "Whom are you going to give me?" In a fit of rage, the father says, "I'm going to give you to the Lord of Death, Deva. The Yamadeva, who is the Lord of Death, I'm going to give." So that time Nachiketa thinks about, why did the father say such a statement? I'm definitely the foremost student, and I know I have been studying all the Vedas and the teachings given by my father and other gurus in the ashramam. But even if in his eyes I am not the number one, I may be a mediocre student. Still, then I am not to be, put away to death as if I am unwanted. So, thinking this, he takes off and reaches Yama, Lord of Death, Yamadeva's palace. And Yamadeva was not there in that day. For he comes only after 3 days. And when Yamadeva comes after, and Nachiketa, what he did was he didn't enter the palace and he waited outside, because the Yajamana or the owner of the house was not in the house, so it's not appropriate to enter the house. So as a Kumara or a young, mendicant or a young Brahmana, he wait outside. Being in a teenage age, he has studied all the Vedas and Shastras from his father. Knowing his condition, knowing about him, the wife of Lord of Death says that when Lord Yama returns back, saying that this Brahmin boy has been waiting for 3 days and he has not taken any water or food from our house, for wanting you to be here in the house. So please bring and do for the required salutations for the guest, and take the blessings from before he gets angry. So Lord Yama goes to Nachiketa and requests him that, I know if a Aditi or a guest is angered, there is heavy penalty for, making such a person angry. So I am prepared to give you for the 3 days, 3 boons. You are free to ask them whatever you want for the for in exchange of the 3 days of your staying outside without food. So the first boon which he asks from the Yamadeva, Lord of Death, is that when I go back after meeting you, my father should not be angry for the questions which I have asked, and he should see me in the same form and shape as he had seen me before, and there should not be any anger on him, and he should be peaceful in his thing. So Yama grants the boon, saying that your father will have good night's sleep, and he will be the same person whom you know him, and he will recognize you and take you in his fold. So that boon is accepted. Then second boon which Nachiketa asks is, I've heard a sacrificial fire by doing which 3 times if somebody does it, he goes to the Sorgaloka. So can you explain me what is that Agni Yaga which is supposed to be guiding the one who is doing the yaga to Surga? So Lord of Death Yama explains that how is the yajna to be done, how many are the steps, angas of the yaga, what way it has to be performed, and he also gave information, a boon to Nachiketa in addition to because he has been so fast in learning everything what Yama he was only telling once, and the boy Nachiketa repeated everything without any mistake. So pleased by the student's performance, the teacher, the Lord of Death Yama, grants him special wish or a boon, saying that henceforth, all those people who do this yajna for reaching Swargaloka, that Agni in which they will do the yajna will be known under your name. Nachiketa Agni will be the name for that Agni till now. Otherwise, it was earlier known taken from the Garhastya, the fire inside the house, which is used for keeping the fire burning in the house. And from that Ahavaniya, the fire is taken for creating a yajna, and that Yagagni henceforth will be known as Nachiketagni, and he also gives him a garland of multiple pearls. Now, in the first boon which he takes, he has asked how he will be recognized by his father after having seen death. Here is a philosophical import of that, saying that having seen what is the reality of death, when a man comes back for the reality of transactional world, the world remains the same. The father will be the same, the mother will be the same, the house and the experiences of the world will be the same, but he will be having the knowledge what is the reality by the term mrityu or death. So that is the philosophical import of the first boon which he had taken. In the second boon is mostly for those who do not understand that knowledge of what is the reality of death, is a upasana marga which is given in the methodology of the angas of the yajna by the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, or there are different ways in which one can follow the Sorgaloka Prapti Yajna, which is called an upasana in the name Panjagni Vidya, is also a name which is given for that in the Chandogya Upanishad. Now, having come to the thing, completed the 2 boons, now Nachiketa is asking Lord of Death. In the 3rd boon, he is asking to Lord Yama that, it is a question which is typically asked by highly learned people and who have complete knowledge of the phenomenon of life and death and what is given in the Shastras. So for a teenager to ask this question was a surprise to Lord of Death also. He didn't expect such a question to come from a young boy called Nachiketa. So let us look into the third boon which Nachiketa is asking. Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye atityeke nayamastiti chaikaye edad vidwan anumunshishtaha tvayaham varanameshvasha varasthritiya. Yeyam prete, having attained the death, there is a doubt. Manushya asti eke. He, after the death, the person or the soul remains. Some say the soul is remaining. Nayamasti iti chaye ake. Some others are believing that there is no transmigration or no transfer of death from a soul from one state to another state after death. So I want to know, etad vidyam, what is taught by you, these vidyas, is the anushishtastyaham varanamesham varasritiya. Tritiyam varam is that with the remaining knowledge which I want to know from you, because who else can teach what happens after death other than Lord of Death? So hail, O Devata or O Yamaha Devata, there is this doubt when a man is dead. Something what we till now called, that he is gone is a statement which is normally made in the normal practice. So when we say he is gone, leaving the body means there is something which is going. Some others say there is nothing going. So please instruct me this. What is the truth behind these two? Is what the third boon. Now, taken aback by this question from this by the boy, this question, Yamadeva could not find how to handle such a question itself. And in fact, because this is one of the top Guda Vidya or secret knowledge which is known only to the Devas, and the human beings are not supposed to be knowing it. So what do I do with such a question? So with keeping that in mind, Yamadeva tries all his different methods of dissuading Nachiketa from following as his third request, which is about the truth after death. So what here is the next mantra which is says, Devairatrapi vichikichitam pura nahi suvetneya manureva dharma anyam varam nachiketo vrinishva mam paritostiti ma srujanai. I am srujanai. Atra, in this regard, vichikichitam means doubts have been maintained. Devai api, even the Devas also have the doubt because they got the Deva status by doing yajnadana tapakarma, and they have attained this thing, but they have never bothered to inquire or find out the truth behind the question of what is life and death. From long time ago, Pura is what is for the long time. Nahi suvetneyam yesha dharma. This cannot be easily understood about this dharma. Here is dharma means the soul. About that, what happens to the soul is not easily understood and is very secret, very difficult. Doubt is there even in the mind of the Deva. So what Yamadevada says, Anyam varam adisrija enam mam vrinishva. You have to ask some other varam or some other boon which you want to thing, because don't compel me to tell this anu dharma, that is this extremely subtle knowledge which is there in this thing, which is difficult even for the Devas to understand. So please do not force me. ask some other boon for you. So now see here we can see that the two aspects of the question is one is that secretness or the subtleness of the knowledge which is available, and second thing is that even if you attain Swargaloka by the way of Yajnadana Tapakarma, there still can no knowledge about this truth of what is death. That's why when Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Chine Punyam Artilogam Vishanti. But with all the punya, what we do in the yajna, yoga, tapa, all those things, you may reach the status of Vaikunta, Vishnu Loka, or Brahma Loka, or Pitru Loka, or whichever lokas are based upon what upasana or what follow you are doing. But after your merits are finished, you are coming back to the world of earth for the karma bhumi to create further punya. But what happens to the soul is still a secret even for the devas. So, hey Nachiketa, you are a very intelligent child. You have taken me by surprise by asking this very, very subtle question, which is even the devas are not able to find the answer. And he further explains, Devairatrabi vichikitsitam kila tam cha mrityo yanna sutneyamatha Bhakta cha asya twadrikyo na labhyaha. So Nachiketa is not an easy student who will let off when the master says, no, don't ask this question, he will keep quiet. So he asks a counter, he makes a statement very clear that how convinced he is that he wants to have the knowledge. Atra kila, in this regard, vichikitsitam means he still doubted Deva Yapi, even, oh Mrityu Deva, that you only said that the Devas are also here very, confused or not clear about what is happening to the soul after the death. Tam cha atha yat na sutneyam. You also say that this cannot be easily understood. So you are making two statements, that it is not understood by the devas because of its subtleness in nature. Then you also say it is not sunakneyam, that is not easily understood by. Moreover, if you are making these two things, one thing is very clear. You know what it is because you know it is very subtle. Second thing, you also made a statement by saying that it is very difficult to be understood. So from this, I am assuming that you are knowing the truth, yet you don't want to tell me. So, Anya Bhakta, where can be another teacher for me, for Asya, Asya means for this knowledge, Na labhya kinchit anya varaha. Therefore, I don't want any other vara because I know that you know the truth and you say it is subtle and it is not understood by the devas. And now where should I go for finding out any other person in search who knows this when I can see here right in my friend a person who says that it is subtle and it is not understood by the devas, which indirectly says that you have the knowledge. So therefore, O Lord of Death, na kanjidanya varaha tulya etasya. There is no other boon which I need, which you can equate to this third boon. So I am not going to change my request. I am sticking fast with my requirement, which is in the beginning, that what happens to the soul after death. Shatayusha putra pautran virishva bahun pashun stiti hasti haryanasham ashwan bhumor mahat yatanam virishva swayam cha jivo sharado yavajjichasi. Now, when the Nachiketa is sticking to this request and he is not budging and limiting, now Yamadeva, first he told that Devas also could not understand. It is subtle, it is very difficult to understand. He said one aspect of the truth. So Nachiketa was not decided by that and he is still sticking on to that. Which makes Yama feel that, this boy is smart enough and just not by, you will not understand. Normally the students will keep quiet. They will not ask further questions. What happens? No, you won't understand. So the student becomes quiet and agrees to what the teacher says. But Nachiketa didn't do that. He derived further meaning from the statement saying that you are denying it because you are saying it is subtle to understand and they also cannot know it, which affirms to me that you know the knowledge and yet you don't want to give. So I am not going to change my request. That is the one which he is sticking to. Hearing that, now what Yamadeva or Lord is decided is that I should try dissuading this child from sticking to this question. So he says that Shatayusha Putra Pautran Vrinishva. Shatayu means 100 years may your life be. Putra Pautran Vrinishva. You may have many sons and grandsons which by my blessings. Bahun Pashun. Multitude of cattle, Hasti, elephant, Hiranya, gold, Ashwan, horses. Also, Bhumer Mahad Yadanam. In the earth, yours will be the biggest palace which can be ever imagined by anybody ever occupied. Vrinishwa, you request that. And even with that, you Swayam cha jiva sharato yavad ichchasi. I am also giving you one more, advice. You desire however much you want to live, you can live, because only when you want to leave the body, I will come and take you. Until such time, you continue to live. Yavad ichchasi, as long as you want. Sharadaha, Yavat Sharadaha means Sharad is a season mentioned here, which indicate that however much Sharad season you want to live in the world, with all these hundreds of Putra Pautran, Bahun, Pashun, Hasti, Hiranyam, Ashwan, all the elephant, gold, cattle, horses, the biggest palace in the surface of earth, everything you can ask for me. And you can live life as long as you want. That also is a blessing. This is what I am going to give you. So please ask that. So you should see that, now Lord Yama is going to tempt for a thing. This is where in the masters, in the scriptures also, they say that when we are in the path of the spiritual progress, temptations are not just like the ordinary temptations for the ordinary people. They come and tempt us multitude with such a large force that unless we are so steadfast in our decisions or undertaking to know the truth, we may get distracted and attracted to the temptations of the senses. Now, here we also understand that Nachiketa is a student who has studied the Veda. So he may be remembering that aspect of Taittiriya Upanishad, which he's a branch of it, where, in that Brahmanandavalli of Taittiriya Upanishad, I am referring to that because it makes reference that, what Yama says is in turn with the same thing what is told in the Taittiriya. First I'll read the mantra because it's a long mantra, then I'll explain to that. The previous mantra starts with Ato abhayam gado bhavati yada hyasheshe asmin udaramantaram kurute atatasya bhayam bhavati tvoteva bhayam vidusho anyanasva tadapyesha sloko bhavati. So there, till that, the Taittiriya Upanishad has explained what is the Atma and how it is. And if it, the one who makes even the slightest of difference or separation or partition or as a, you know, Swajadiya, Vijadiya, Swagata Beda in the Atma, he will have to be afraid of something other than himself. So that is the state where there is no fear. After that, the mantra of the Taittiriya Upanishad says, Bhishasmat Vada Pavade, Bhisho Deti Suryaha, Bhishmadhartya Agnischa Chandrascha, Mrityurdavati Panchama Yedi, Seshanandasya Mimamsa Bhavati, Yuvakyat Yutsadu Yuvakyayakaha, Ashishto Dridishto Balishtaha, Tasyayam Prithivi Sarva Vittasya Purnasyat, Sa Eko Manusha Anantaha, Te Yajam Manushya Anantaha. So, in this mantra, what it is says that Ashishto Dradishto Balishtaha. Let us assume that there is a king in the surface of the earth who is all the wealth he has got, all the, vidya or learning, education, everything is with him, and he is yuva, he is young and ashishta, dridishta, he is strong, and his senses and the sense organs are in prime state. Tasyevam Prithivi Sarvasya Vittasya Purnasya. The entire wealth in the earth, it belongs to him. And he is the Samrat, or he is the king of all of the people in the earth. Sa Eka Manushya Ananda. That is the supremost happiness that one can imagine among the human-bodied individuals with youth, strength, wealth, name, fame, knowledge, everything, and he is the king of the earth. Suppose there is a king of that type in this world. First of all, he doesn't exist. Even if we assume that such a person exists, theoretical purpose, then what says is that his happiness becomes incalculable for our ordinary human beings. We cannot even think what will be his happiness from that wealth which he is holding. So the Upanishad says that the qualitative aspect of such a person is one measure of the maximum human happiness one can think about. And then it takes from that Upanishad takes to the different levels of the Sayeka, 100 such human being happiness put together is Manushya Gandharvana Mananda. That Manushya Gandharvana Mananda, let us, it is a, old, ancient imagination of a situation. In today's scenario, we can let us say that the film celebrity or the music celebrity or any artistic celebrity who is the richest in the world. So, Manushya Gandharvana, such a person is a Manushya Gandharva. Now, 100 times of Manushya Gandharva, Deva Gandharva, who becomes even though the celestial world as well as in the human world, he is well known, he becomes a celebrity. And then Deva Gandharvana Manandaha, and out of that, 100 times of that is Pitranam Chiraloka Lokana Mananda. Now the Pitranam is one word which is used is that those Pitru is the state of soul after having done karma, both good and bad, he goes to the Pitruloka. So Gandharva and Deva Gandharva, all 100 times put together is the happiness of a Pitrana. Why? Chiraloka Lokana Amananda. So as long as the dissolution or the pralaya doesn't take place, he doesn't have to come back for a birth again because Chiraloka Lokam. So he lives in such a world where he doesn't come back. Shrotriyasya Chagamasya. Chatas Piturnam Chiraloka Lokana Mananda Ajana Janam Devana Mananda. Now here there is that another terminology. Such 100% Pitruloka, individual, 100 of such two put together is one measure of the Ajana Jana Devanda. What is the Ajana Jana Devanda? So Devas who are not in the Pitraloka but in the Surga Loka, but they are not the Devas who are permanently like Tiraloka Loka. They are the Devas who by virtue of the action they get the Devaloka. Then they are called Devas at that time. Then Shene Punya Martilogam Vishanji, then after finishing that Punya, he comes back to. So this going up to Devaloka, coming back, doing Punya again, going back to the Devaloka again. So they are all called Ajana Janam Deva. So such 100 times the happiness of such a person is Karma Devana Manandaha. Now Karma Devas are the Devas in the beginning of the Srishti itself who have been given definite karmas or the responsibility of each of the actions, like for the fire Deva, in Agni Deva and Mrityu Deva, all of them are coming in that category. So karma, they have got karmas to be do that they are responsible for the karmas of that. Teshatam karma devana manantaha eko deva eka devana mananta. Now there are citizens of the world in that Devaloka, Surgaloka, who is not having any work or responsibility, but they are just enjoying that life. That is one. So 10 times the happiness of Ajana Dana Denanda is one Devasyananda. And 100 times Devayananda is Indrasyananda. Indra is the ruler of the Surgaloka. So 100 times the citizen's happiness is that of the king's happiness of the Devaloka. Now, then 100 times Indrasya Ananda is Brihaspati Ananda. Brihaspati is supposed to be the teacher for the Devas and who knows the truth. And the teacher is always, even Indra do the puja for that Brihaspati for the knowledge. So 100 times Indra's happiness is for the Brihaspati Ananda. Now 100 Brihaspati's Ananda is Prajapati Ananda. Prajapati is that individual who creates the entire world, including Brihaspati, Indra, Agni, Varuna, Mrityu, and the entire world of Prapancha. So Prajapati Ananda, 100 times the Indrasya Ananda is Prajapati Ananda. And Shatam Prajapati Ananda Eka Brahmana Ananda. There the Brahma Deva, not the Brahman of Atma Brahman, but Brahmana is here it is. The Brahma Deva is the first Pradamaja or the first born from the Virat or from that Hiranyagarbha. So his happiness is like that. So you can see that the multiplication by 100 given in the Shastra is all showing that in all these levels the happiness is measured 100 times, but they all have a definite time period with which these happiness will exist. So Shrotriyasya cha akamarhasya. So where that he says that in the Upanishad, Asmat lokat pretya is a word used in the Taittiriya Upanishad. See, that mantra is the one reason why Nachiketas is asking the question to Deva here. Sayaschayam purushe yashvasta yascha sava aditye sa ekaha. He is only one. Sa ekam with he is the one which holds everything. Asmad lokad pretya etamaya mannamanam atmanam upasankramati etam pranamayam atmanam upasankramati etam manomayam atmanam upasankramati etam vijnanamayam atmanam upasankramati etam anandamayam atmanam upasankramati. So when asmad lokat pretya for all these type of entities which has been mentioned, when they leave this world, they have to transfer beyond the Annamaya, Manomaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya also. So this Nachiketas knows very well that this is the situation of all those people. So in this case, Nachiketa is asking, next mantra is that Edat Tulyam Yadi Manyase Varam Vrinishwa vittam chirajivakam cha mahabhumau nachiketah tamedi kamanam tva kamabhajam karoti. So, having seen this thing, Yamadevan is still trying to entice Nachiketa to decide from sticking to his third boon. If you think that any other boon is equal to this, please, by way of wealth, long life, you can become even the emperor of the earth. Because he got the new, from Nachiketa, he has got that idea from the other Upanishads that in all this happiness of 100 times everything, and that should be, he knows that, that's how he says, you may even become the emperor of the great earth, O Nachiketa. I shall make you the enjoyer of all happiness. So, Kamabhajam, Kamanam, Sarva Kamanam. Not is here there is a indication that all the objects of sensual pleasures which we have got a limitation. A limit, this thing, reducing utility of value for the enjoyment. But here, Yamadeva is telling, in your case, I am giving you a boon. I can ready give you also that your enjoyment will never perish. You will be in such a state of youthhood that all happiness will be always the same as long as you wish. That is the way in which he is giving that, temptation to Nachiketa. So, Yamadeva is concluding that temptation to him with the statement that ye kama durlabha martyaloke sarvan kaman chandadha partayasva ima rama sarada sutarya na hidaisya labhyamannaya manushye abhimart pratabhihi paricharasya nachiketo maranam manu prakshi. He is having no more thing to offer, Yamadeva. So he is saying that freely choose all those pleasures, whichever pleasures are not attainable even the human world. That means he is offering even the Devaloka happiness and celestial happiness. Here are the celestial women, here there are the celestial vehicles, here are the musical instruments of the Devagandharvas. And such paricharakas, that people who will serve you and take care of you, cannot be attained by human body at all. The human beings also can never even think about such a situation. You may get yourself served by all of them as long as you want, and you chirakalam jivasva. You live as long as you want. But, O Nachiketa, don't ask me about death. That is one secret. I am the Lord of death. I only know about what is death. So please do not ask me, because if I tell you that, then there is no more secret, and people will not fear about me, or Vishasmat Vadapavade, fearing him, even the wind doesn't blow with fearing him. Is that what in Taittiriya said? So here says Nachiketa, please do not ask me about death. You can ask anything else. I am giving you anything and everything what you want, except this question I cannot ask. So Nachiketa is still steadfast. He is a very intelligent student. He says that Swabhavo Martyasya Yatantyakat Sarvendriyanam Jarayanti Teja Api Sarvam Jivira Malpameva Tavaiva Bahaswata Nritya Gite. So here see that steadfastness, or conviction with which he is asking the Yamadeva, oh Yamadeva, all these things which you have told me is ephemeral or perishable, and even with the best of the sense organs, ayur nasyati pashyatam, as long as the time goes by, the sense organs lose interest in the entanglement with the sense object. Even the mortal human being has got a limitation. What you are offering is not unlimited. It is desire. You have put a word that as long as I desire, which is indirectly telling me, you are trying to fool me that My desire, I want the thing. You know that the desire of the human beings also are time bound. What is desired today is no more a desire for tomorrow. So even if I desire the 100 lives and 100 years of life, halfway through I may desire, my desire may change to become not, I don't want to live anymore. I am fed up of all these sensual objects and attention and dance and music and vehicles and celestial happiness which you are giving me. So, in my view, they are all temporary, ephemeral, and transient in nature. So, you keep all those things which you are offering me to yourself because you may be interested in that. I am not interested. I am only interested to know what asmad lokat pretya kin kutra gachati. Where do people go after when they say when they are dying? नवित्तेन तर्पणीयो मनुष्यः लप्तस्यामहे वित्तमद्रक्ष चेत्वा जीवक्ष्यामो यावदि यावदिष्यसि त्वं वरस्तु मे वरणीय स एव. Man cannot be satisfied with any amount of wealth, O Lord of Death. Since I have seen you and I shall get the wealth, whether seeing you yourself is the biggest wealth somebody can see that. Nobody sees death. Death is an experience after, the body is casted. Whereas I am seeing you in my body, and when I'm going back to my world, my father will recognize because of my body. I am that. This is indirectly giving the indication towards what is what you call Jivan Mukta, one who has known the knowledge of death and birth and life, and so for him there is no change. But seeing that truth makes me the richest person or the wealthiest person, which money cannot buy. So as long as you rule, I shall live is that goes without saying because I have seen you and I have known the truth. So for me there is no birth and death. Indirectly he is saying all that. Therefore, that route alone is chosen by me indeed. I am not going to change my desire to get any other boon from you. Ajiryatam mrutanam upetya jiryan martya kvadastada prajanan abhidhyayan varnaratihi pramodan atidirgo jivato ko rameta. So here he is saying that, so if you closely examine all those things which are offered to me, the pleasures born out of music, sport, and all that are limited, and they are decaying by very property of the material what you are given. Because you are offering me things, and I am supposed to be immortal, living in a mortal world where enjoyments are mortal in nature. So they will not be continuously available to me. So they are also going to be perishing because that is the nature of the objects of enjoyment. So with all this long life and, how can a happiness be there I can get from what you are offered to me. So I'm not going to change so the final statement which he makes in this one is in this, with the first chapter, first one is getting over with this. Yasminnidam vijigitsanti mrityoho yasmat paraye mahadi bruhi natas yoyam varo guda manushpravishta nanyam tasmad nachiketa vrinite. So here he is taking his final stand very clear to the Lord Yama. Tell me that regarding which people still hold the doubt as in what manner or in which dealing is going to be the life after death, or what happens to a person who is dying, and what happens, whether there is something which after death, or is death the be all and end all of life and there is nothing more, nowhere going anywhere. This truth nobody else can tell me. You see, you have very clearly indicated that you know it, by saying that it is very subtle in nature, even devas do not know, which means you know it and devas do not know. So, therefore, Nachiketa, I am Nachiketa, though I am not taking any other boon from, may please grant me the boon, this boon which I am very, very determined to get from you, is the statement, final statement from Nachiketa in this state, in this Valli. And the next Valli is where the dialogue starts in telling different aspects of life, like Shreyascha, Preyascha, and then actually in the fifth pada only, the Atma Brahma discussion is going on. Till then, the different aspects which are required for the Upasana and Dhyana, as well as acquiring the Chitta Shuddhi, is being discussed in the from the next shloka onwards, which we will take it from the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate